Hey everybody, it's your girl Nail, and welcome to Simply Nail's Tiny Studio. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I have been on a brief hiatus from YouTube and from basically all social media. I posted earlier today in my live that it was very necessary to go on a social media hiatus, and I went on this hiatus right before last week's eclipse. And the reason why I did it is because there was so much craziness going on surrounding the eclipse. People were thinking we were all doomed, that we were going to die. Armageddon was coming. Some type of rapture was happening. I don't know what was going on, but that was the feeling that was being expressed on social media. And I'm going to tell you one thing about myself, and I've always been like this, even from a little girl, from a wee little brown girl. There is only so much ridiculousness I can tolerate until if I'm questioning the ridiculousness and the shenanigans, I'm at a low tolerance level, so I have to escape. And that's what I did. I just turned off social media. I said I'm going to be escaping and doing other things with my time. And that's exactly what I did. I did other things. I stayed away from social media and I just, focused on my family, my job, things that I love and dealt with that because social media can be a trip. I suggest to anyone and everyone learn to value your wellness. Learn to really sit back and evaluate how much time you put into certain things because now that we have this thing called the cell phone, that we have all of this information and the internet, the World Wide Web, we have all this information available to us, at just a scroll, maybe, or just a click. It can be overwhelming, and this is something that I learned during the pandemic, learning how to unplug from certain things, especially the media, which could be television, um, like I said, social media itself. Learn how to unplug from all of that stuff, child, because it ain't worth it. Let me tell you how bad I was years ago on social media. I would get into debates with people, child. I would debate them. I would post facts and stats. And, I would do all of those things. I am a regular fact checker. So I was really conscious about misinformation and disinformation before that even became a thing. I was the person that was in groups saying, well, what you just said was wrong, it's false, because such and such and such and such and such and such a day, and I'm going to post this book for you. You need to read it, and all this ridiculousness, And I would get off of social media and I'd be drained. I would be angry and drained. And I began to realize that what was happening with me on social media was starting to spill over into my offline presence. And that wasn't good. That was not good. I'm sitting in bed talking to my husband about what some fool said in a social media group that he doesn't know. I really don't know. And here I am having a debate with them and getting my blood pressure all high. That don't make any sense. My mentor, the late Dr. John Henrik Clark, once said, I only debate people. This is like a loose quote, a loose interpretation of his quote. I only debate people who are on my level, and everybody else I teach. And so I would take that stuff literally. I took that statement in a literal sense. So basically, I was debating people that I thought were on my level of intellect, and then I would just teach everybody else, which was so Jehovah's Witness of me. Which was so Jehovah's Witness of me to sit back and misinterpret what Dr. Clark meant. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, Everybody has the power of evolution. So it doesn't matter what your does your intellect measure with my intellect, because that's just really ridiculousness. It's really about, do our hearts match, right? Do our hearts match? Do what we feel match? That's what really counts. So I'm trying to tell you, I learned a lot of lessons um here, being involved on social media and whatnot. And those lessons were able to help me with my various life lessons. And, as you get older, you begin to, if you allow yourself to, you continue to evolve. I remember there was a saying that my grandfather used to say a lot, and he used to say, there's there's no food like an old food. And in order to become an old fool, you have to be, you had to have been a young fool. And being an old fool means that you haven't learned anything. You haven't gained any type of knowledge, no insight whatsoever. You have no discernment. When it comes to aging and wisdom, you've acquired none. And so I know that I don't want to be an old fool. I don't want to be an old fool set in my ways. I want to always be evolving and moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So I was on my break, and while I was on my break, just relaxing, and well, I wasn't really relaxing because I still had class. I still had we do things in my class where we're learning therapy techniques. So I had a mock client, which was one of my fellow classmates. And so we had meetings and we had to record ourselves, having a therapy session where I was the client and they were the therapist, or I was the therapist and they were the client. So I had that to do last week. And then I have a practice partner that I work with from my class. So I had that to do. I had like 5 chapters to read. It was okay because I had it scheduled out and planned. So while in the middle of that, I was able to relax and do other things, and you know just basically chill, and not have a lot, and not saying that I don't enjoy hanging out in a tiny studio with you, because I do. But this is like a job, child. Before I hopped on here, there was things that I had to do, like I had to, tweak my eyebrows. If you look at my live, if you take a look at the live that I did earlier today, you'll see there's a great difference between my lives and me actually being in a tiny studio filming. And that's why my daughter really doesn't like me to do lives because she's like, "Mom, what is going on? What are you doing?" But I am authentic and true to myself. So there are some things that I need, being having filming here on YouTube on my channel, it takes work. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a lot of equipment that goes into this. Um there are things that have to get done, that needs to be done, because I want to share my offline life with you. And so though all those things have to be tweaked, and it has to be, you know, set up in a way so that when I begin to film, then everything can move and roll smoothly. And then after filming, there's a whole nother thing that goes into that. So, my YouTube channel is very important to me. It's part of my passion, part of my purpose, but it's work, and if I'm not really up to it and focused on it like I should be, then craziness happens. And I don't want to, I want to always be authentic and transparent with you. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to, and see, that goes into a whole other conversation about how we show up online, what we want our online presence to be. Because what I don't want you to believe is that I'm living some type of perfect life, that I have it all together, because I don't. You know, even at this age of being double nickels plus a penny, I don't have it, I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers, and I'm still growing and evolving as a woman, a mature young woman. And I don't want to give off the sense that, when you come into the tiny studio, that I'm perfect and that I have all things in order or anything, because I don't. I don't, but when I know that I am not feeling well emotionally, or, emotionally, when I know I'm not feeling well, or physically, if I know I'm not feeling well, I don't want to come on and, be a dark cloud on your day. That's not what I want to do either. I want to, when you come into the tiny studio with me, I want to be able to give at least, if not 100% each and every time, I want to at least be able to give 90%. You know what I'm saying? And then, as with life, sometimes we're not able to even give 90%. Sometimes 75% is best. So sometimes I have been in here in the tiny studio and I've actually given 75% of myself, due to maybe I was in pain with knitter's elbow, or um sick with cold or something, or coming down with the cold or anything like that. But I want to make sure that I'm giving my best, the best that I can give in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So while I was out on my brief hiatus, I decided, as far as crocheting is concerned, that I was going to start my Granny Square blanket project. Now, you remember the 2 cakes of yarn that I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and they were in the color wave of, what was the name of it? Petit Fours Galore, right? And it was a beautiful, beautiful yarn. I'll show it to you again. Let me see where it is. Okay. Okay, this is the yarn right here. Petit Fours Galore. And you remember I told you that I was thinking that there was a project I needed to finish. And so I bought the extra, the 2 extra cakes of yarn. But then when I got home and I saw the project, I had already finished it. So, I was not going back to Hobby Lobby to take that yarn back. Who takes yarn back? Who? Who? Not me. So what I decided to do was to make a Granny Square blanket. Now, not my traditional Granny Square blanket where where I just make one square and then, you know, grow it out. No, I considered, and I said, why not make a Granny Square blanket, a traditional Granny Square blanket? And so that's what I've been working on this past week. So let me put this back out. So that's exactly what I did. I started making granny squares. And I ended up, so here's the first cake. The first cake that I finished this cake. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. I finished this one, and I was able to get 19 granny squares out of that one cake of yarn. And I asked my husband, I said, I'm going to sit down with, I told him I was going to sit down with him and see if he could do the math on that for me. So I have a whole bag that I had them in. but I was able to get 19 granny squares out of this cake of yarn. And let me see. This cake of yarn was 7 ounces, 199 grams, but it's also 355 yards. So out of 355 yards of Petit Fours Galore, I was able to make 19 granny squares. So here's the granny squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a Petit Four blanket. Yes. Oh, I just love Petit Fours. Have you ever had a Petit Four before? And I think that's why I really love this color wave of the Petit Fours Galore yarn, because it reminds me of a delicious Petit Four. You know, a nice, you know, pink or yellow cake with green icing, or pink and green and yellow icing on top of it. Ooh, I love Petit Fours. They're so delicious. So anyhow, I was able to make 19 granny squares out of that cake of yarn. So I finished that on Sunday, and then I started again with this new cake. And so far I've made about 3 granny squares with this cake. So I figure that when my husband comes in and we sit down and we talk about how wide this blanket is going to be, and that means how many based on the width of the granny squares that I have already crocheted. Based off of that, we'll come up with the measurements for the blanket exactly, and then I'll be able to give you some clues as to how big this blanket is going to be. But then I'll also know how many granny squares that I'm going to have to complete to make a blanket, because I was thinking that because I was able to get 19 granny squares from here, that means that it'll be 19 from that one. So that means 3 more cakes. 3 more cakes would take me to about 100 squares. Almost 100 squares. 3 more cakes. Or a little bit over 100 granny squares. So I'm thinking that I'm probably going to need about 200 granny squares for this entire project. So I'll head back to Hobby Lobby when I'll keep abreast on their sales. And when they have another 30% off sale, I'll probably head in and get 3 more skeins of yarn, and then continue to work on making the granny squares. And that'll be my little project while I'm sitting down watching Netflix with the Tiny Studio Assistant or what have you. I think I got some yarn on my lip gloss, but I was working on that. And then my my blanket, my spring equinox blanket, that's the year-long project, I had to end up frogging that. And the reason why I had to end up frogging it was because I noticed that I skipped a couple of stitches at the beginning of the foundation chain. And whenever that happens, there's no getting around it. You cannot add a chain here or add a chain there. There's nothing that you can do, because what happens is that the entire project begins to do this curve thing. Instead of being straight like that, it'll start doing this circular thing that I absolutely hate. So what I had to do is I had to frog it. So this week I'll be working on that again. And now that I have, it's April, so I'm going to have a combined, it's going to be March plus April. And so that's just going to be, it's a headache, but I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done because that's a challenge to myself to start this project. And I've already mapped out the pattern of how I want the blanket to look, the spring equinox blanket to look. So it's going to be a great time. I just have to get back down to it. I just have to get started again. So, um, that's the main thing. And here's what it looks like now, because I had to frog it. And remember, I said I was starting out with green because green equals spring, life, rebirth. And so here we go. What is it? What is that? Okay. I had it wrapped around this yarn here. But here I am, back to the foundation chain. I had to frog it all. I just had to frog it. And sometimes, let me just be honest, when it comes to knitting and crocheting, things like that, you will be frogging projects. You will be frogging, because the name of the game is you want to have a successful project. You want your project to come out looking nice. And sometimes you have to frog it. You have to suck it up and frog it, because who wants a lopsided looking blanket? I don't. And that's basically what I was working on. That green yarn came from Hobby Lobby as well. It was a super soft, super savings. I love this yarn. And for $4.99, I believe I got this for 30% off. And I know people have a thing about Hobby Lobby yarn, but I don't like Red Heart yarn. Red Heart yarn. I don't like Red Heart yarn because it feels rough on my skin. And even though it is a more economical type of yarn, I don't like it. And for that reason, mainly, it's because I don't like the texture. I don't like how it feels. I like softness. Now, I've heard that you can, after you make a project with Red Heart yarn, you can put it in the wash machine and add some fabric softener to it, and then it will be softened up. But I've never tried it. And after the first few projects that I made with it, I just decided I'm not doing it. I just don't use it anymore. I just use the Hobby Lobby yarn and be done with that, and be happy with that. So that's what's happening that's what's going on in the Tiny Studio, child. Nothing big, nothing major, just, frogging, granny squares, and that's it. That's actually it. That's all that's been going on with me. But I do have a project I want to get your opinion on, or what you think I should do about it. My husband had an accident. He was calling himself washing some clothes, and he was washing his white t-shirts. And when we had we had our floors installed. We had some flooring installed, and the people didn't hook up the hot water tubing, hot water piping, or whatever it's called. They didn't hook it up properly. So when my husband turned on the wash machine, there was water spilling out of the wash machine, or something like that, he said. And being that he had bleach in the wash machine, then the water and the bleach water spilled out onto the floor as well. And what ended up happening is my towels were damaged. He used a towel to mop up the water, but he used the wrong towel. He used this towel. And these are my favorite towels. My bathroom is gold. And so these are some beautiful, beautiful, fluffy, soft towels. And for our bathroom, I usually buy, when it comes to towels in our bathroom, I usually buy 4. But these towels, I found them at Home Goods, so they only had 2. And so I only bought 2 of these big fluffy towels. Who made these towels? I can't even read it anymore. Let's see. Oh, I didn't get these towels from Home Goods. I got them from the Mart. So anyhow, these towels were really, they were really nice and fluffy, and they only had 2 of these gold towels left. So instead of me getting 4, I only got 2. And I really, really like these towels. I really, really do. But now I'm only down to 1. So what I was thinking about doing is I was thinking about dyeing this towel. Now, I don't know. What do you think I should do? You think I should just give this up and just, it's now a car rag or something? Or you think I should, dye it? If I can find a nice gold, I would just re-dye these towels. Well, just this towel. But being that I'm kind of on the fence about it because I'm redoing my bathroom. I think I told you about that. So I'm redoing it purple, and I think it's purple and silver or purple and gray. And I have most of the things ready for the bathroom now. So that means that I would just, my towels are purple and gray. So I really won't be using the gold towels for, in the bathroom. Just, well, we'll still be using them, but they're not going to be the main event towels in the bathroom. The purple and gray towels will be. But I was really thinking about seeing if I could color them or dye them to get them to be that beautiful gold again. I don't know. And they're so cute. They're beautiful towels, and they're very, very soft. And I think these were the expensive mainstay towels because they were so fluffy and beautiful, and I couldn't resist it. And I usually don't buy my towels from Walmart. I buy my towels from Home Goods, or I get them from Target. But these particular towels, they matched, they matched the gold shower curtains I had in my bathroom. So I was like, this is cool, and I really love these towels. But I don't know. I have this feeling that even if I find some gold dye, that it's not going to be the dye that I'm going to need for this towel. I don't know. Have you ever dyed towels before? You know, was it easy or was it difficult? What was it? you know, or maybe, I need to just cut this up and give it to my son and he can put it in his car because he likes to work on his car on the weekend. So maybe this is just an expensive rag now, I guess. I don't know, but the bleach really got this towel. So I don't know. One part of me wants to salvage it and see if I can save it and color it again, and you know it can go back in my bathroom. But then the other part of me is saying, no, 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 no. What's done is done. Cut it up, put it in the bag, give it to your son, let him put it in his car, and he and his friends have rags, that they can use for when they're working on the car on the weekend. Maybe that's what I should do. I don't know. What you think? Well, I'm going to get on out of here because I have some other things I need to get done here in the tiny studio. And I want to, it was something that I wanted to do. I can't remember what it was. But oh, that's right. I wanted to get started on the purple hand towels for my bathroom. I saw a stitch on it was here on YouTube. I saw a really cool stitch. I forgot what it was. No, it's not called, it wasn't called a V stitch. It was called something else. But I saved the video. It was in I was just scrolling along this morning and I saw one of the crochet channels that I subscribe to. She posted on her community tab this stitch that she was working on, and I really like it. It looked like the V stitch, but it's not. It was something else. I have to look it up and you know, where is my phone anyway? I have to look it up and see what the name of that stitch is, but I think that will look really nice for the hand towels that I'm going to crochet for my bathroom. So I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to look up that information, and I'm going to see you next time here in the Tiny Studio. But if you have not already subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the like button and the notification bell so that you'll know every time I pop into the Tiny Studio to talk about all things crochet, all things dread like love, and all the other wonderful things I like to talk about here in the Tiny Studio. So I'm going to give you a break this time. I usually pause here and allow you to go ahead and take care of that type of business. But I'm going to trust that at the end of this video that you are most definitely going to subscribe to the channel. Okay? And don't forget to hit the like button. Even if you don't subscribe, don't forget to hit the like button. All right then, I'm out of here. I'm your girl Nell, and I'll see you on Thursday and maybe sometime during this week on live. We can chat then. And do not forget, well, you know what, if you don't subscribe to the channel, you're not, privy to the community tab that Simply Nails Tiny Studio has, where I can give you, or I do give updates on what is going on daily here in the Tiny Studio. So maybe you should go ahead and subscribe. All right, then I'm out of here and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.